Hey everybody, AGodlessProgressive here. This is going to be a video response to two Christians who have 5 questions for atheists.
Question 1. What kind of evidence would it take for you to believe in God?
Not what would be a good start, but what evidence would actually convince you. And when we say God, we're talking about a mind which is all-loving, all-powerful, meaning he can do everything but the logically contradictory, all-knowing, and eternal.
Does that God exist? I don't think the God you're describing exists. I mean, if you just would have left it at what would it take for you, what evidence could be presented for you to believe in a God, that would have been one thing. But I don't think a God, the God you're describing, who's all-knowing and all-powerful and all this and all that, and is so powerful, and his powers, his powers supersede everything we know about reality. I don't believe that God exists. If you just would have said a God, maybe I could say, well, maybe he was just a God who just started the universe or something, and you could provide evidence that this guy existed, that this God existed. Then maybe, yeah, I could possibly believe in it, maybe. But this God you're describing, I don't think he exists. How can you be all loving, all knowing, and all powerful, and knowing the world how it is? I don't think he exists. So I don't think there is evidence for this God that you're describing, unfortunately. So I don't know how to answer this question, really. I guess I can't answer this question. I mean, because I don't think that God exists. So I don't know how to answer this question, honestly. But if we just get rid of all the description of your God and just say, what evidence would you need to believe in it? Well, empirical evidence. I would need evidence that has been observed and tested over and over and over again, and has been proven to be demonstrably true. That's what I would need. But the God that you're describing, I'm afraid he doesn't exist. So.
Question 2. Is there anything that I can do that could possibly convince you that God exists?
Like, would any argument we could make have the potential to persuade you?
No. Arguments are not going to persuade me. Like I said in the first question, only thing that would persuade me would be evidence, empirical evidence that's been observed and tested. That's the only thing that's going to. No argument is going to work. Words are not going to work on me. I'm going to need something a little bit harder than that. I mean, I'm all up for a good argument, but at the end of the day, it's just an argument, and there's nothing substantial behind the argument. Why would I take it seriously? If you make an argument with the empirical evidence, then I'll have to take your argument seriously. But if you're just making an argument and you have no evidence behind it, I mean, I'm just going to say, okay, but you still didn't prove your God. I mean, you're just making an argument for argument's sake, no, there's no argument you can make.
Question 3. If you realized that an all-loving God existed, would you desire to have a relationship with him?
If you said yes to that question, would you want to have a relationship with him just to get into heaven, or for some other reason?
Okay, I can't really answer this one either, because you're saying he's an all-loving God. Again, I don't think there's an all-loving God. Given all the things that are wrong in the world, he can't be all-loving. I mean, how could you possibly believe that he's all-loving? How is that even humanly possible that you could believe that? I mean, look at all the things that are wrong in this world, and you're telling me there's some loving God. Well, if he's some loving God, why hasn't he corrected all the wrong things, all the evil things that go on in this world? So I tend to believe there's no loving God. So I don't know how to answer this. honestly. Let's just pretend. Let's just pretend we're in some bizarre universe, and in this bizarre universe, there is a loving God, and I agree with the way He loves us. um, would I want to meet Him for personal reasons? I I guess given the sense that I believe in this God, so I obviously agree with the way He loves us, right? So I guess I would want to meet Him. Would it be for personal reasons, like saving myself or whatever? I don't know. Given the premise that I've already laid out, yes. But the premise that I laid out, we all know is faulty because this God doesn't exist. But technically the answer would be yes, but really it's no, because I don't think this God exists.
Question 4. Have you ever met a Christian who lives their life in such a way that it is clear that they really believe in an all-loving God?
Meaning they live a life which is impressively kind, loving, and selfless.
No. I mean, given the the prerequisites here that you're giving, no. I've never met a Christian who's always kind, always loving, always selfless. I've never met one. Ever. Ever. I mean, there are times when they're kind, there are times when they're loving, there are times when they're selfish, but there's times when they're mean and hateful and selfish. So, no, I've never met a Christian who is always the way you describe them. If you just would have said, you know, have you ever met a Christian who believes truly in God? I was like, yes, I meet them all the time. But are they always that way? No. I mean, no one's always that way. That's absurd to think someone always is that way. So, no, I don't think this Christian that I just don't think this Christian that you're describing exists. I mean, it's just utterly bizarre that you think people like this exist. You know, people are not just one way. People have two sides to their personality. Yes, people may be kind, but they can also be mean. People may be selfish, but they can also be selfish. I mean, you know, so I've never met a Christian who's how you describe him. So, no.
And question 5. Has the presence or lack of that type of Christian had any impact on your atheism?
Well, no. Okay. No, I don't base my beliefs on what other people do or what other people say or how other people perceive me. I base what I believe on usually on evidence. So yeah, like if I make an argument, it's usually based on evidence or on logic or on reason, you know, with evidence, you know. I mean, I don't base my beliefs on a really good argument, you know. So, yeah. Well, that was it. So, I hope you enjoy my lovely responses. And everyone else out there, you take care. God's Progressive. Peace.